If anyone ever tells you that sacrificing your youth for a promising tech career is noble, feel free to laugh in their face. Or cry. Or both. I did all three in the last week of my life, usually while holding a cup of stale coffee and praying the servers wouldn't explode again. My name is Wenji, and I used to work at Novatech. Used to because I died. Surprise. But before we get to the smoke, sparks, and tragic stupidity that ended my life, let me explain how I got there. I started at Novatech fresh out of school, full of dreams, caffeine, and hopelessly bad taste in men. By men, I mean one man, Hui Chen, team leader, star engineer, company darling, the kind of person everyone admired from a safe distance. Clean jawline, cold eyes, suits tailored like he was born inside them. A voice that said, "I'm smarter than you," even when he was ordering lunch. And I loved him. Of course I did. I have terrible instincts. The worst part isn't the love. The worst part is that he treated me like a human-shaped extension cord. Plug me in, drain my energy, unplug me when I was flickering, then plug me back in when he remembered I solved bugs faster than the rest of the team combined. I pulled all-nighters while he presented my work to upper management with a calm. It was a team effort, which meant I did it, because apparently I was part of the wallpaper. One time I asked if he wanted me to walk him through a complicated part of the algorithm I'd written. He didn't even look up. "You're too emotional, focus on improving your logic," he said. Amazing. I was emotional because I wanted credit? What a scandal. Another time he told me I wasn't leadership material. I wasn't sure what leadership meant to him. If it meant staring at someone until they shrank 2 centimeters, sure, I didn't have that skill set. But I still tried. I worked harder. Hoped he would notice. Hoped he would say, "Good job, Wenji." Maybe pat my shoulder. Or smile. I would have taken a micro-smile. A nano-smile. Any pixel of affection. Instead, I got this. Push the fix to production tonight. Alone. Alone. Always alone. That night is burned into my memory like a bad tattoo. The office was silent except for the hum of servers and my own internal screaming. It was close to midnight. The others had gone home hours earlier. Hua had left after tossing me a half-hearted, "Don't mess it up. Thanks." Very supportive. The issue was in the server room, which already made me suspicious because nothing good ever happens in a server room. They're like haunted houses for engineers. Dark, cold, full of whispering machines and the faint scent of burnt dreams. I walked in, flashlight in one hand, toolkit in the other, muttering curses that would have disappointed my mother. The problem looked simple enough. Faulty wiring, overheated hardware, a setup that screamed fire hazard, yet somehow had passed inspection. I bent down, reached in, and the moment my fingers touched the cable, sparks, smoke, a bright flash, pain like reaching into the sun, and then nothing. No dramatic rescue. No Hua bursting through the door shouting my name. I didn't even get a corporate funeral. They probably replaced me with an intern the next day. My last thought wasn't about the code. Not the project. Not my career. It was this pathetic line. Why did I love someone who never saw me? As deathbed realizations go, that one stung. I'd spent years chasing someone who wouldn't have noticed if I'd moved to another continent. Someone who valued the work of my hands more than the person attached to them. If I ever got another chance at life, I told myself I'd avoid him. Avoid Novatech. Avoid any man who used logic as a weapon. But death doesn't care what promises you whisper to yourself. It just closes the curtain. And that is how my first life ended. A burnt server room. No applause. No thank you. Not even a good work. Sorry you died. Honestly, the afterlife couldn't possibly be worse. Could it? If anyone ever writes a guidebook about reincarnation, I hope they include a chapter titled Warning. You might wake up drooling on your keyboard, because that was my grand return to life. One moment I was dying in a burst of smoke and regret. The next, I snapped awake with my cheek glued to my old dorm desk, keyboard imprints stamped across my face like abstract art. My first thought was, wow, the afterlife has terrible ergonomics. My second thought hit harder. The calendar on my laptop read, 7 days before I joined Novatech. 7 days. I stared at the date so long I forgot to breathe. Perfect. I have a second chance to delete myself from that hellhole. My roommate, Minheo, shot me a look from his bed like I'd grown 3 heads. Are you okay? You sound like a villain rehearsing a monologue. I'm great. I'm amazing. I'm reborn, I said. He blinked. Reborn as in, you got enough sleep? Sure. Let's go with that, I said. I didn't bother explaining. How was I supposed to tell him, hey, buddy, I died because a tech CEO used me like a cheap accessory, and now I'm back in my younger body with unfinished trauma? Even I wouldn't believe me. I opened my email, scrolled to the message from Novatech, and hit reply, with the kind of confidence only a man who has already died once can possess. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. The polite version, thank you for the opportunity, but I have decided to pursue other options. The honest version, no thank you, I enjoy living. I compromised. Hello, I appreciate the offer, but I will not be joining Novatech. Best regards, Wenji. Short, polite, emotionally detached. Healing. I hit send. A weight lifted off my shoulders, like someone had deleted a corrupted file from my soul. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. The future had been reset. I was free. Free to avoid Novatech. Free to dodge a terrible crush. Free to build an actual life, maybe even a better one. I stretched again and declared, time to start my own company. Minheo stared. Do you even have a plan? Yes. No, you don't. No, I don't, but I have passion. And trauma. That counts for something. I admitted. Starting a company sounded insane. But so was working for Novatech. Between the two, at least one wouldn't kill me with faulty wiring. Hopefully. I grabbed a notebook and scribbled, Startup Blueprint on the cover. Step 1. Decide what problem to solve. Step 2. Pretend I know what I'm doing. Step 3. Profit? Okay, maybe I needed more steps. But even with no plan, I felt excited in a way I never had in my past life. My future wasn't a monotone hallway of server rooms and ignored feelings. It was wide open. That night, while Minheo snored loud enough to rattle the windows, I sat at my desk and coded. Not for someone else. Not because of pressure. Not because I wanted approval from a man who couldn't say thank you. But because I wanted to build something of my own. The glow of the monitor lit up my hands. My heart thumped with a rhythm I hadn't felt since, well, ever. I felt alive. Actually alive. Every keystroke was a promise to my new self. Every function a small rebellion. Every line of code one step further from the place that once swallowed me whole. I didn't know what the future held. But I knew this. I'd rather fail spectacularly than crawl back to Novatech. This time I was writing my own story. And Hui Chen? He could enjoy onboarding someone else. I had a startup to build. And a life to reclaim. Anyone who says, follow your dreams, has clearly never tried starting a company with the combined budget of 3 broke college graduates. If dreams were enough, we'd all be billionaires by breakfast. After my reincarnation crisis settled into a simmering determination, I dragged 2 of my closest friends into my madness. Zhao Minheo, my roommate, and Li Ran, who once hacked his school cafeteria system to display memes instead of menus. Highly qualified, in my opinion. We found a tiny office above a bubble tea shop. Office is generous. It was more like a closet that had been renovated by someone who only used duct tape. The walls were thin enough that we could hear the bubble tea blender downstairs scream every 10 minutes. The room smelled faintly of sugar, despair, and old carpet, perfect for a startup. Welcome to our kingdom. Minheo squinted at the flickering light. Your kingdom has a light bulb that might explode. That's just ambience, I said. Li Ran tapped the peeling paint. And this wall is definitely load-bearing. Or maybe not. It's too fragile to tell. Team, we're here to build the future, I said, clapping once. The future of what? Minheo asked. I'll tell you once I figure it out. To be fair, I had a concept. A SaaS productivity tool that used smart task prediction with real-time workflow optimization. In simple terms, a digital parent that guilt-tripped you into finishing your work. We set up 3 mismatched desks and a kettle that I trusted about as much as I trusted Novatech's HR department. Every few minutes it made a noise like it wanted to explode, but we ignored it. Startup spirit. Coding began. Bugs appeared like fruit flies. Every time I fixed something, another feature on the opposite side of the app broke. It was like whack-a-mole, but the moles were laughing at me. By noon, we were out of coffee. By 1, we had consumed all the instant noodles in the drawer. By 2, I questioned every life choice I'd made since birth. When why does your code behave like a wild raccoon? Minheo said, staring at his screen. It's not a bug. It's a personality. I said, your personality is going to break our servers. Servers, right? We didn't have real servers yet. Just a rented virtual machine held together by hope and duct tape logic. Still, we kept going. I typed like my fingers were on fire. My reincarnated brain felt sharper, faster, hungrier. I had something to prove, mostly to the version of me that died doing someone else's work. By sunset, the first prototype was live. Barely. I leaned back, exhausted but proud. Gentlemen, we have created a miracle. Liran poked the UI. It froze. Your miracle just crashed. It's a fragile miracle. Like you, he said. I glared at him. I couldn't deny it though. While I wrestled with my app, Novatech was launching a major update. I only knew because their live-streamed product announcement played automatically as an ad on my laptop. The CEO smiled proudly. Our new optimization engine is more stable than ever. My eye twitched. That engine? I had built it in the past life. I had debugged it. I had fixed the catastrophic memory leak that kept crashing servers. Without me, they should have. The stream glitched, then froze, then erupted in error messages. I choked on my noodle cup. Oh, my God. The presenter smiled like someone who had seen his entire career flash before his eyes. Ah, a minor issue. The screen behind him went black, then restarted, then crashed again. Minheo burst out laughing. Did they just launch a bug collection? I couldn't stop staring. This was exactly the part 1 had fixed before. In the past life. No wonder it was failing now. Somewhere inside Novatech, people were probably screaming into their ties. And somewhere inside Novatech, Hui-Chen was definitely staring at the broken build, wondering why the universe had betrayed him. Right on cue, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Absolutely not unknown. Only one man had that energy of, I need answers, and I need them now. I let it ring. Once, twice, 5 times. It finally stopped. Then a message came through. Quarry Chen. Why did you reject the offer? Call me back. I snorted. In my past life, you couldn't even bother to say thank you. Now you want explanations. Liran peered over my shoulder. Is that your doomed crush again? He was never my crush, I said. That's not what you screamed last year when you saw him presenting at the conference. I was younger and misguided. And now I have noodles, I said, lifting my bowl. He raised his cup in solidarity. To noodles. We clinked noodles like champagne glasses. As night settled over our tiny office, the bubble tea shop downstairs closed, leaving us in blissful quiet. I stared at my code again. My half-broken, half-brilliant, fully chaotic creation. In my past life, I coded to impress someone who didn't care. In this life, I coded because I wanted to build something that belonged to me, even if it took duct tape and prayers. I leaned back and whispered, this time, I'm not a footnote in someone else's story. If Novatech was panicking, good. If Hui-Chen wanted answers, even better. He could wait. I had a startup to build, and a new life that didn't revolve around him. Tomorrow would bring more bugs, more panic, more noodles. But for the first time in years, I felt alive. The day my app went viral started like every other startup morning. I woke up, checked my server logs, panicked, burned my tongue on instant noodles, panicked again, and told myself, this is fine, like the liar I am. At 9, Minheo burst into the office screaming, Wenzichai, we're famous. I didn't look up from my laptop. We're what now? Famous. Viral. He shoved his phone in my face. Look. On the screen was the unmistakable face of Blueberry Milk, a top gaming streamer with 3 million followers and an unhealthy attachment to cat ear headphones. She was doing a desktop tour in one of her videos, showing off her gaming setup, her stickers, and then, oh, this tool? Some tiny startup made it. It's super fast. I love it, she said cheerfully on screen. My face went numb. That's my app. Liran slid into the room with a mug of tea. Correction. That is our app about to destroy our bandwidth. As if summoned, my phone vibrated. Then again. Then violently. Notifications poured in faster than my heart rate during a code review. New users. Mentions. Shares. Comments like, "This thing is amazing. Who made this? Can they add a feature that yells at me to stop doom scrolling?" My soul left my body. Is this real? Minheo grabbed my shoulders. Yes. She used our tool in front of the entire internet. Did she tag us? No. But people found the logo on the UI. You mean the crooked logo I made in 12 minutes? Yes. People think it's charming. I sat down. Hard. My knees had decided they weren't emotionally prepared for success. By noon, our website crashed twice. By 2, investors started calling. An unfamiliar number rang. I answered carefully. Hello. Is this the founder of TaskMage? Yes, I said, trying to sound professional and not like a sleep-deprived cryptid in slippers. We'd like to discuss seed funding. I hung up. Minheo stared. Why did you hang up on an investor? I panicked. Phone rang again. Another investor. Then another. It felt like the universe had flipped a switch labeled, "When G's Revenge Arc." We celebrated the only way 3 broke tech idiots could. By buying the expensive instant noodles. The ones with actual vegetables. Liran lifted his bowl. To going viral and not dying. Minheo lifted his too. To fame. I raised mine. To trauma-fueled success. We slurped like kings. Meanwhile, somewhere far away in a glossy high-rise, a certain someone was having the worst day of his life. Because 1 hour later, there was a knock on our office door. A sharp, confident, unmistakable knock. I looked up from debugging a nightmare feature. Who is that? We didn't order food. Minheo shrugged. Maybe an investor came to yell at you. I opened the door. And there he was. Hoi-chen. In a crisp black suit, holding his phone. Looking exactly like the man who ruined my life and who I stupidly adored in my past one. Time stopped. My soul sighed. Oh no, not again. His eyes met mine, and for the first time ever he looked speechless. His usual calm, icy expression cracked into something raw. Something like shock. Something like pain. "Wenji," he said, breath faint. I reacted on instinct. I closed the door. Firmly. Just turned around and shut it with the clean, quiet finality of a polite rejection email. Minheo blinked. Who was it? No one, I said. Liran peeked out the window. Why is the CEO of Novatech standing outside our door looking like his soul got stolen? I grabbed my noodle bowl. Not my problem. Of course, it was very much my problem. Because Hoi-chen didn't leave. He stood outside the door like a patient Grim Reaper. Knock. 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 When Ji opened the door, he called. I slurped my noodles louder. Please. The please made my eyebrow twitch. Hoi-chen didn't say please. Not in my past life. Not in anyone's life. One Ji? Did you break him? Liran whispered. No, he broke himself. I said. The knocking stopped. Silence. For a moment, I thought he had left. Then my phone buzzed. Hoi-chen. We need to talk. I stared at the message, heart steady. Calm. In my past life, that text would have made me drop everything and run. In this life, I turned my phone face down. I'm busy. I have bugs to fight. I said to the room. Whatever storm Hoi-chen was bringing, he could wait. My startup came first. My life came first. And this time, I wasn't letting him rewrite my story. In my past life, Hoi-chen wouldn't have lowered himself to pick up a fallen pen if it rolled too far from his desk. In this life, he was apparently willing to crawl through glass to talk to me. His pursuit began the day after I closed the door in his face. A satisfying memory, truly therapeutic. At 8 in the morning, my phone buzzed. We can discuss a compensation package. Call me. I ignored it. 10, another message. I can match any market salary. No cap. Ignore. At noon, leadership role. Team of your choice. Direct line to the board. Wow, he's speedrunning job offers. Liran said. I'm speedrunning ignoring him. I replied. Then came the big one. Stock options. 40%. I choked on my tea. 40%? Is he okay? Should we call a doctor? Minheo leaned over. He's trying to poach you. Poach me? I'm a person, not an egg. What are you going to say? I typed. No thanks. I'd rather code underwater. Sent. Silence from him for 2 whole hours. I almost worried he fainted somewhere. Then, at 3 p.m., he called. I answered because I wanted to hear his suffering live. Wenji, he said, voice low and serious. Yes, CEO? I said sweetly. You rejected 40% equity. I did. Why? Because I'm happy where I am. And also, I hate you. He inhaled sharply. You never hated me before. You're right. I was a fool. That's not. Anyway, I have real work to do. Good talk. Bye. Cut in. I hung up. Minheo applauded. That was beautiful. Liran looked genuinely worried. You know he's going to show up in person again. He better not, I said. He did. Every single day. He would stand in front of our office like a ghost in Armani. The bubble tea girls downstairs started whispering about the mysterious handsome man haunting the stairwell. One even asked me, Boss one, is he your ex? I don't have exes, just mistakes, I said. Who didn't confront me directly at first. Maybe he realized cornering a traumatized Reborn programmer in a hallway was a bad idea. Instead, he tried a new strategy. Kindness. On Monday, he brought us coffee. I opened the box, sniffed it, and said, Poison. It's from your favorite place. Creepy that you know that, I said, shutting the lid. On Tuesday, he left USB fans for our overheating laptops. I handed them back. We're allergic to gifts. On Wednesday, he left handwritten notes with bug suggestions for my app. I returned them with red pen corrections. On Thursday, he tried to personally carry our heavy equipment up the stairs. I pointed at the bubble tea shop and said, Wrong floor. We didn't order a moving service. By Friday, he looked like he had aged 5 years. Wenji, I just want to talk, he said, blocking the doorway as I arrived. And I just want you to evaporate. Life is full of disappointments, I said. He stared at me, searching my face. Something in his expression softened, like he was trying to piece together a puzzle that used to be easy but wasn't anymore. You're different, he said quietly. Therapy. I lied. No, something else, he said. I shrugged. Maybe reincarnation, who knows? He didn't laugh. Figures. The man had the humor capacity of a toaster. Why won't you even consider returning? He asked. You used to admire Novatech. You used to admire. Careful, I warned. Finish that sentence and we'll both cringe. His jaw tightened. He looked, for lack of a better word, hurt, which was hilarious coming from the man who used to step over my sanity like it was a speed bump. What's wrong, he said. You are. His eyes flickered. Frustration, confusion, a tiny hint of desperation. Past life me would have melted at that look. Current me? Immune. Mostly. Because underneath all this comedy, my company was actually growing. Fast. Users exploded. Downloads increased. Our servers got bullied into submission. Investors kept calling. We started hiring part-timers and upgrading from instant noodles to noodles with dehydrated beef slices. That's how you know you've made it. Meanwhile, Hui Chen's desperation climbed like my CPU temperature after a bad update. He tried everything. Professional offers. Personal appeals. Awkward attempts at small talk. One day he even handed me a bubble tea. Your favorite, he said. I sipped it, paused, and said, "This is 30% sugar. I drink 50%. Wenji, do you hate me?" he asked slowly. I stared at him. His posture was still perfect. His suit crisp. His voice steady. But his eyes, those had changed. No cold distance. No arrogance. Just raw, unfiltered confusion. And something like regret. Too bad. "You know what I hate? Wasting time. And this conversation is exactly that," I said. I walked past him and into my office. Behind me, he exhaled, long and quiet, like a man who had run out of strategies. But not persistence, because every day after that, he kept trying. He was a CEO who suddenly knew how to beg. And I was a man who finally learned how to say no. If only my heart would stop acting like an idiot about it. There are 3 things guaranteed in the tech world. Bugs will appear 5 minutes before a demo. Investors will ghost you until you don't need them. And the moment your product goes viral, someone will copy it so aggressively you'd think they photocopied your soul. So when the giant company Titansoft released a suspiciously similar version of my software, same layout, same features, same color scheme, I simply stared at their press release and said, "Wow, they even copied my ugly header font. That's commitment." Liran looked horrified. "Boss, shouldn't you be angry?" "I am, deeply, but also impressed. It takes skill to steal this shamelessly." Of course, stealing my code wasn't enough. Titansoft launched a full smear campaign online, calling my startup unstable, unscalable, and run by some baby-faced rookie who probably codes on a toaster. I do not code on a toaster. It's at least a rice cooker. Anyway, I prepared for war. I drafted legal documents, compiled proof, started writing a long, righteous public announcement. Then, just as I was finishing, my phone rang. Hui Chen, CEO of Hellbound Group, menace, corporate tyrant, owner of cheekbones that could cut glass. I considered ignoring the call. Then the phone rang again. I finally answered. "If this is about poaching me again, Hua?" "It's not. I need you to check the news in 10 minutes. His voice was low, serious. "What news?" He hung up. Rude. But exactly 10 minutes later, the news exploded with leaked documents showing that Titansoft had not only plagiarized my software, but internally discussed burying the small startup before it grows teeth. The documents were disgustingly detailed. Meeting notes, emails, screenshots. Someone went full vigilante. I narrowed my eyes. Hua. Sure enough, he showed up at my office that afternoon. Uninvited, obviously. He stood at my door like he owned the building, wearing a suit too expensive for this shabby hallway, and said calmly, "You're welcome." I crossed my arms. "You leaked that evidence." "Yes." "You hired lawyers to counter Titansoft's claims." "Yes." "You interfered with a company that isn't yours." "Yes." I glared at him. "Why?" He blinked like it should have been obvious. "Because you're valuable." I scoffed. "To your company, you mean?" "To the industry," he corrected. His voice softened almost imperceptibly. "And to me." I choked on air. "Don't say things like that so casually." His lips twitched. "Is it working?" "What?" He stepped inside without waiting for permission. Classic Hoichin behavior, and looked around my tiny office, taking in the mismatched chairs, the leaning whiteboard, and the motivational sticky note that said, "Do crime to get prime." Minheo wrote that. He turned back to me. "Wenji, you're being targeted because you're good. But Titansoft won't be the last company that tries to crush you." "I know," I said quietly. He stepped closer. Too close. Uncomfortably close. His eyes were dark, intense, unreadable. "You shouldn't fight alone." I shoved him lightly in the chest. "Don't act like my savior." Something flickered across his face. Frustration? Amusement? Both? "I'm not trying to save you. I'm trying to recruit you. And protecting the talent I want is just good business," he said. I snorted. "Right? So all of this was purely professional." His gaze dipped to my lips for exactly 1 second before he controlled himself. "Mostly." My heartbeat did something rude and inconvenient. I took a step back. "Well, stop it. I don't need your help." You did today, he said softly. That irritated me because he was right. And I hate when he's right. I didn't ask for it, I muttered. I know, but I wanted to, he replied. That was new. That was dangerous. I folded my arms tightly, refusing to let him see that my chest felt weird and warm. You're too pushy. You think everything and everyone belongs in your pocket. I snapped. He tilted his head. Do you belong there? I nearly threw a stapler at him. In your dreams. Every night, he said smoothly. Get out. He turned to leave but paused at the doorway. Wenji, you can hate me all you want. You can reject every offer. But I'm not going anywhere, he said without looking back. Why? I shot back. He finally looked at me, eyes steady, voice low. Because you're the most brilliant person I've met in years. And I don't give up on brilliance. No confession. No memories of a past life. Just a man who wanted me. For my talent, my mind, and something he wasn't ready to name. And that might have been even more dangerous. When he left, I slumped into my chair and stared at the ceiling. Great. He's interested and competent. I'm doomed. The Titansoft war wasn't over. But as I prepared to fight back, one truth echoed annoyingly loud in my mind. Hori-chen wasn't my savior. He wasn't my enemy. He wasn't my boss. He was becoming a problem. A persistent, handsome, dangerously intelligent problem who wouldn't leave me alone. And I had absolutely no idea what to do about him. There should really be a warning label on running a startup. Something like, side effects include excessive caffeine, spontaneous hair loss, and becoming the sworn enemy of billion-dollar corporations. Titansoft apparently decided losing the plagiarism battle wasn't humiliating enough. So they launched a full-scale cyber attack on my servers. A real, professional, we hired hackers who live in basements and drink battery acid kind of attack. My system alarms went off at midnight. By 1 a.m., I was elbows deep in firewalls. By 3 a.m., I was bargaining with my laptop like it was a dying pet. In middle of that, I remember I sent messages on asking help to our dear group and accidentally sent one to Hori-chen also. But I deleted it. Hang in there, baby. Don't crash. I'll buy you a new cooling fan. I'll dust your motherboard. I'll stop installing weird plugins. Just stay alive. Li Ran and Minheo tried to help for the first 2 hours, then collapsed on beanbags like fallen soldiers. I was alone with the glowing monitors and a swarm of malicious packets trying to chew through my code. Perfect. Just like the good old days. I was typing furiously when someone banged on the office door. I didn't look up. If it's a ghost, please wait until after I save the company. The door swung open. Hori-chen, in sweatpants, breathless, hair messed up like he ran here. What happened? He demanded. I blinked at him. Didn't I delete the massage? He ignored me completely and dropped into the chair beside me. Move. No. 1G. This is my desk. This is your server collapsing. Fair point. I slid over. Hor immediately began typing, his fingers moving fast and sharp. The cold CEO mask replaced by something fierce and focused. The glow from the monitors lit his face, highlighting his furrowed brow and the tension in his jaw. Whoever is attacking you is serious. He muttered. Well, I am also serious, just slower, and fueled by instant noodles, I said. He didn't smile, but the corner of his mouth twitched like he wanted to. Hours passed. We barely spoke, just typing, analyzing, countering, patching. At one point, he reached across me to grab my coffee mug. Our hands brushed. I pretended not to react. He definitely noticed. Finally, sometime around dawn, the attack stopped. Hua slumped back in the chair and pressed the heel of his hand against his eyes. I thought I lost you. I stared at him. You thought you lost my servers. His voice, quiet and raw. No. You. My heart made a very inconvenient thud. Before I could respond, he stood and walked to the window, trying to compose himself. But his shoulders were trembling slightly. Not from fear. From exhaustion. Maybe adrenaline. Maybe something else. Hua. Why were you even awake at that hour? I said slowly. He hesitated. Just a breath. Then, I've been monitoring your public traffic since Titansoft targeted you. I blinked. You've been what? Monitoring, not interfering. Just watching. Making sure you weren't overwhelmed. He repeated. You stalked my server? I supervised it. That's worse. He ran a hand through his hair. It's my fault they escalated. The evidence leak embarrassed them. They were always going to retaliate. I frowned. You did that to help me. And I'd do it again, but I didn't predict this, he said. He sounded guilty. Deeply, irrationally guilty. I stepped closer. Hori-chen, this isn't your responsibility. You're wrong, it is, he said quietly. I froze. There was something in his eyes. Something raw, unguarded, frighteningly vulnerable. As if the walls he'd built his whole life had finally cracked. He took a shaky breath. You don't know this, but I blocked our merger with Titansoft last week. My mouth fell open. You what? It would have gone through if I hadn't intervened. But if we merged, I wouldn't be able to protect you. Protect me from what? From people who see your talent as something to exploit. From people who want to control you. From people like... He cut himself off abruptly. From people like him. He scrubbed a hand over his face. We lost millions in negotiation fees. The board is furious. My position is unstable now. I stared at him like he'd grown 3 heads. You risked your CEO seat? For me? He inhaled slowly. You're brilliant, Wenji. Too brilliant. People like Titansoft will always try to crush you. And people like me... His voice broke for half a second. I don't want to be your enemy. I had never seen Hori-chen look small. But now he looked human. And that was somehow worse. Hua, you didn't have to do any of this, I said carefully. He lifted his gaze, and there was no armor left in it. I know, but I wanted to. My chest tightened painfully. He stepped toward me slowly, as if afraid to scare me off. I don't know what this is, but every time I look at you, I feel... No. He stopped. I shook my head, heart racing. Don't say things you can't take back. He exhaled shakily. Then let me say the truth. I like you, Wenji. I don't know when it started. Maybe when you rejected me. Maybe when you kept rejecting me. Maybe when you smiled at me the first time I visited this office. But I can't pretend anymore. Silence. Then, I like you too much. My brain crashed harder than my servers. I did the only thing I could think of. I walked away, straight out of the office, down the stairs, into the morning air. I didn't run, but my heart did. Behind me, Hua didn't chase. He just stayed there, exhausted, hurt, and honest for the first time in his life. And me? I was shaking. Turns out there's nothing more terrifying than a CEO confessing to you after a 7-hour cyber war. Except the part where he looks at you like you're the last warm light in his otherwise ice-cold life. Which is why I ran. Not far. Just far enough to avoid doing something stupid like kissing him or throwing my laptop at him. Both were possible options. I spent the next few days in damage control mode. Partly for the servers, partly for my emotional stability, which was held together with tape and sarcasm. Li Ran kept asking, Boss, why do you look like you got haunted? Minheo poked me with a bubble tea straw and said, Blink twice if Hori-chen threatened you. I told them both to mind their own dopamine levels. But alone, I couldn't stop replaying everything. The confession. The way he arrived breathless in the middle of the night. The way he worked beside me until his hands shook. The way he risked his position because he believed in me. And then the part that hurt. He didn't know anything. He wasn't apologizing for the past life. He wasn't making up for all those nights he left me to collapse alone in a server room. He was just himself. This version. This Hori-chen who was awkward and protective and far too sincere. Meanwhile, I was the one dragging around trauma like a hard drive full of corrupted memories. I went home early one night and opened my old notebook. The one from my 20s. The one filled with sketches of ideas I never dared build and notes I wrote to myself to stay awake during overnight shifts. My handwriting was shaky. My words were pitiful. I just want him to notice me. I snapped the notebook shut and threw it across the room. Never again. I wasn't sure if I meant the notebook or the feeling. 3 days passed. He didn't show up at the office. Didn't call. Didn't text. Which annoyed me, because what did he think he was doing? Respecting my space? Being considerate? Such dangerous behavior must be banned. On the 4th day, there was a knock at my office door. I knew it was him. His knock sounded like a bad heartbeat. Soft, hesitant, trying not to be a disturbance but still desperate to be heard. I opened the door. Hori-chen stood there holding a small metal case. No suit, just a simple shirt, black slacks, and the expression of a man who had no idea what category of disaster he was. "Wenji, can I come in?" he said quietly. I stepped aside without speaking. His shoulders relaxed. Just a little. He stood in front of my desk, not sitting, as if he didn't deserve the furniture. "I'm not here to push," he said. "I'm not asking for an answer. I just wanted to apologize." "For liking me?" I asked dryly. His eyes softened. "For overwhelming you." "Okay, rude." Why did that sound sincere? He placed the small case on the table. "I brought something. It's nothing big." I opened it and froze. Inside was a resignation letter. Not sent. Not signed. Just sitting there like a loaded gun. "I'm not submitting it yet, but if our company ever becomes a threat to you or your company, I'll leave," he said. I looked up sharply. "What? That's insane." He shrugged lightly. "Maybe, but I want you to know I meant what I said." His voice softened. "I like you, Wenji, not because you rejected me or because of your talent. I like you because when I look at you, I feel like I'm seeing the right direction for once." My throat tightened. "I'm not asking you to accept anything. Just don't push yourself away from me because you think you have to," he continued. His expression was so open it hurt. I stared at him. "Hoi-chen, you really are annoying," I said. He froze. Then very slowly he smiled. A small, fragile, hopeful smile, like I just handed him a lifeline. And maybe I had, because even if I wasn't ready to love him, I was no longer running. Not from him, not from myself, not from the past. Just a little slow reboot. No pressure, no tragedy, just the possibility of something real. The fall of Titansoft should have been dramatic. Explosions, screaming executives, maybe a slow-motion shot of their CEO crying into a stack of shredded lawsuits. In reality, it was one article, then a second article, then a trending hashtag #Karmasoft. My startup traffic skyrocketed. Our user base doubled in a week. Investors started lining up like we were the last bubble tea shop before doomsday. Li Ran nearly fainted. Minheo attempted to moonwalk into a meeting. I locked myself in my office so I wouldn't scream out of joy and traumatize them. We grew. Fast. Dangerously fast. The morning we signed our biggest partnership contract, I stood in my new office, looking around at the finished space. Wide glass windows, sleek desks, plants that were alive for now. "I did this," I whispered, then immediately corrected myself. "Fine, we did this. Mostly me. But the team can have partial credit." Really, I had rebuilt my life from the ashes. And this time I chose my own direction, which meant it was time to face the one person I had been avoiding like a deadly bug in production code. Hoi-chen. My stomach twisted. Great. Emotional indigestion. I typed the message 3 times before sending. "Come see the new office." He responded in less than a minute. On my way. My heartbeat performed a full system crash. Minutes later, he arrived. Tall, composed, dressed in a plain shirt and blazer. No overwhelming CEO aura. No intimidation. Just him. The version of him I didn't know how to defend against. His eyes swept across the office slowly, then landed on me. "This suits you," he said quietly. "Of course it does. I have taste." That earned me a small smile. I gestured to the couch in my office. "Sit. Before you hover like a nervous software update." He sat, but he didn't lean back. He stayed upright, hands on his knees, like he was afraid to wrinkle the air. "Hoi-chen, I need to say a few things," I began. He nodded once. "Okay. I've been thinking." About everything. About how I acted when we met. About how you acted. I was unfair to you. I paused. He blinked. You had every right to reject me, and it was for good. Now look at you, having your own company and all. Yes, but you didn't deserve the way I shut you out without giving you a chance to show who you are now. He stared at me with something quiet and aching in his eyes. I continued, slower. I carried a lot of fear, and memories, and assumptions. None of that came from you. Those were just in my mind, and I felt insecure. In small ways you were cold, blunt, unreachable. But you changed. His jaw tightened. I still hurt you, even though I didn't mean to. Hua. I'm sorry. His head snapped up. His voice shook. Wenji, can I stay by your side now? I walked toward him slowly, watched his breath catch. Then I gripped his tie, yanked him forward, and kissed him. He froze, only for a second, before kissing me back with a kind of desperation that tasted like long nights, unspoken longing, and everything he didn't know how to say. When I pulled back, I said, only if you upgrade your behavior regularly. Bug fixes included. His forehead rested against mine as he laughed softly. I'll release a new version every day. Good. I'll review it like a strict tester. He kissed me again, smiling against my mouth. Warm, hungry, grateful. Later, we sat at my desk. I typed code while he leaned close, eyes tracing my face instead of the monitor. Don't stare, I muttered. I'm not staring, I'm studying. He lied smoothly. Creepy. Accurate. His hand found mine, tentative, asking permission. I let my fingers curl around his. The glow of the monitors painted our joined hands in shifting light. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, I wasn't alone in the dark. We weren't leader and subordinate. We weren't CEO and startup founder. We weren't past mistakes and present fears. We were equals, partners, 2 idiots trying to build something real. I typed the next line of code. He watched me like I was the most important line in the world. And for once, I didn't run.